Hi there. Sorry about that. Yeah, the Buffalo Bills having a big game this week that a lot of people are trying to call a Super Bowl preview of Bills at Detroit. But the biggest thing I see coming into this game is the injuries. Detroit has been dealing with a lot of injuries all year long, and it's specifically on their defense. Now, their biggest name is Aiden Hutchinson on the defensive side of the ball, and he's still not back. But they are getting 4 or 5 defensive players back this week for the game. So they're trending upward on the injury scene, while Buffalo is trending downward. Buffalo picked up a lot of injuries this week onto the injury report. Rasul Douglas is already listed as out for the game, and that's not good news, as he's our starting corner. And Damar Hamlin and Taylor Rapp are listed as questionable for the game. Now, there's other guys listed as questionable and things too, but when both of your starting safeties are listed, there's a problem. Now, how do they fix this? Well, they do have Cole Bishop, the rookie, second-round pick that we haven't seen a lot of playing time. He may come in. Cam Lewis, I'm sure will come in. He's played a lot for the Buffalo Bills, and moving him to safety is a good idea here in this situation. Lewis Cine coming over from the Minnesota Vikings. Lewis was a great player in college for Georgia, had some injuries, but in the words of Lewis, an healthy Lewis Cine is a problem. So if he's healthy and he's ready to go, then maybe we'll see some of him. And then the pull in case of emergency player that we just brought back to the team in Micah Hyde may actually get some time as well. We'll see who they call up this week from the practice squad and if either one of those safeties can't go. Now, let's look at Detroit's team. Offense, a lot of weapons. The two-headed running back, fantastic. I don't know, they call him Sonic and Hedgehog or something, I don't know. But those two guys are really good running backs. Amar St. Brown, a really, really good wide receiver. Williams, another good wide receiver. And their tight end, Sam Laporta, is a very good tight end. So they've got the weapons on offense, and they've been showing it this year, putting up 40, 50 points on teams and really being a bully against some teams. And I anticipate them actually being able to score a lot of points if they watch the Rams footage, because the Buffalo Bills didn't look good against the Rams, and Detroit has a very similar offense and runs a very similar game plan. So we'll have to see how the defense does. Now, the Achilles heel of Detroit, in my opinion, is their defensive ends, and that's mostly because their star player, Aiden Hutchinson, is injured and out. But the defensive tackles up the middle are pretty good, especially if they get Reeder back this week. They're really good. You're not going to be able to run up the middle, I don't think, on this team. So we've got to attack the ends. Now, Cook is really good at that, so he should be able to go. And Josh Allen should get some time as well in this game. And as our offensive line has been playing well up to this point. So Josh should have time to hit our wide receivers. And speaking of our wide receivers, it looks like Keon Coleman will be able to come back, and Dalton Kincaid. But the injuries I'm worried about are on defense. The offense, even missing those two weapons, hasn't really been the problem, as they put up over 40 last week on the Rams. But it will be nice to have Coleman and Kincaid back if they indeed are. So, yeah, this one's scary. At Detroit, I don't know why they're only listed as a 2.5-point favorite when usually 3 points is given just to the home team. So, Detroit's a very, very good team. And since the start of the season, I have said that the Super Bowl I want this year is Detroit and Buffalo. Both teams playing each other that have never faced each other before or never won a Super Bowl. They have faced each other before. I don't know why I said that. But they have never won a Super Bowl. I don't think Detroit's even been in a Super Bowl. But so calling this a Super Bowl preview is pretty interesting. I hope it is, because that would mean both our teams are back would be in the Super Bowl. So let's see what happens there. Really worried about how our defense is going to hold up, although they can't hold up much worse than they did last week against the Rams, as Cooper Kupp and Pakua were just taking it to him, and Williams, the running back. And, of course, Matthew Stafford. So, Gosh, speaking of that, Jared Gosh is a good quarterback. So we'll have to see what happens there with him. So this could be an interesting week for the Buffalo Bills. Will they be able to step up and show? They do have room to lose one game and still keep the 2 seed if Pittsburgh loses to Philadelphia. And then there's other teams trying to catch us after that. But let's not think that way. Let's go out, try to win the game, see what we can do against Detroit. I have faith in our guys. I think Shakir will have a big game, as they like to run a lot of man coverage. Shakir is our man beater there. And, so with that, I saw ticket prices for this game are just crazy, like $1,000 a ticket. That is crazy money to be spending on one ticket for one game. Whew. With all of that, talking about how good both of the offenses are and how our defense is having problems and how their defense is coming back, it'll probably be a 10-7 game. Who knows? I mean, who thought the last night's game between the Rams and the 49ers would be close? Actually, I did. Because the 49ers defense is more suited to stop the Rams. But speaking of that, that linebacker quitting at halftime, or not at halftime, but quitting during the game for the 49ers. The Bills had the famous player that did that too, but several years ago. But it just makes me think about Dorian Williams. Matt Milano comes back and Dorian Williams finds the bench, and hopefully he isn't even thinking about quitting. We need Dorian Williams, and I hope he gets more playing time. I love Matt Milano, but Dorian was leading the team in tackles before he went out. I think he still may be leading the team in tackles, even though Matt's been back for 2 weeks. But Matt may need some more time to come back and get into his playing shape. So, hello, strange dog. But we'll see what happens. Could be a good football game. Could be a bad football game as the Bills go to face the Detroit Lions. But what are the Bills going to do at defensive back with so many of them listed? Jamarcus Ingram's going to have to step up. Cam Lewis is going to have to step up. To replace Rasul, one of those has to do it. As Jamarcus did it last week. I thought maybe Kaiir Elam would come in and start this week. But the way McDermott was talking about him in his press conference this week, sounds like it might be Jamarcus Ingram. So we'll see which one of those. And Jamarcus was playing well earlier this year. He had those interceptions when he came in with the injury, made him play earlier this year. But we'll see what happens. But with that, I say, always remember, go Bills! And God loves you. And so do I.